Hey guys, welcome to my next month where I am trying to solve an Agatha Christie. This month, the winner of the voting that I had on Patreon is 450 from Paddington, and I am really excited about this book because it is a Miss Marple book. She is our detective in the book, and from what I've heard from other people, she is in the story from the beginning, and that is right up my alley. So if you've never been here before, every month in 2022 I am trying to solve an Agatha Christie and making a very spoilery vlog as I go, trying to share who I think done it, and it doesn't usually work out, but that's okay. I have fun doing it. I have fun failing because I love being tricked as far as this goes. So I need to clean off my whiteboard. I did clean it after the last time, but there's some streaks, so I need to do that. It's Sunday, I just got home from church. I'm going to change into something cozy. It is raining, so I'm planning on doing a nice cozy snack and drink and reading a bunch. I have not read the back of this book, nor do I plan on it. I hear that this is one of people's favorites. So back last weekend, I think it was last weekend, I was doing the Weekend with Agatha readathon, and I had made a stack of books that I was going to use for a shirt design in the future for my shop. And after that weekend, I've decided that I don't think The Moving Finger deserves to be on that design, so I'm hoping I can replace it with 450 from Paddington so I can actually get this up in my shop. Yeah, and so if you've never been here before, like I said, I've been doing this every month. I do a longer video over on Patreon. It's usually twice as long, sharing a little bit more of my back and forth, and I try to condense it here on YouTube. But if you want more of my process and some of the thoughts behind what I'm saying, if it kind of feels like it's a little bit jumpy during this video on YouTube, then maybe check out my Patreon. You'll also get access to the previous months that I've done this, so you can, I don't know, see how well or not well I've solved them all. So this one seems like a decent sized Agatha Christie. Oh, wait a minute. It actually says the title was previously published as What Mrs. McGulcuddy Saw. Interesting. I'm assuming 450 from Paddington. I guess that could be a bus. I'm assuming it's a train. Maybe it's a bus. I hope it's a train. Okay, right. I have read a snippet of this. I just read the one line on the back. 2 trains pass and someone sees something happen, a murder or something on the other train. I shouldn't have looked. Oh well, I still don't know what happens. So I'm gonna start reading, and then I'll start filling in characters and check in and tell you where things are going. Okay, so I am 24 pages in, and what has happened, I think this is a really good start to a mystery. Yeah, so Mrs. Gilcuddy is traveling on the 450 train from Paddington, and at one point another train is kind of traveling at the same rate as theirs, kind of one train speeds up and then the next one train speeds up for a bit. And at one point on that moment, one of the blinds in one of the carriages, I don't remember the correct terminology, flaps up, and there's a guy strangling a woman, and she sees the woman's face go all purple and then her body go limp and all this. So she's convinced that she has seen a man murder a woman on this other train, but she doesn't know which train it is. She tells the train guy coming for the tickets. I think she left a note at the train station as well for somebody. I don't know. She left an envelope. Not sure what that was all about. And then it turns out whose house she's traveling to is actually Jane Marple's. So right in the very first chapter, we get Miss Marple in here, which I'm excited about. And Miss Marple 100% believes her and says, okay, we're gonna, I think she got the full story from her. She's like, we're gonna eat some food, not talk about this once, and then we'll dish it all out afterwards. And so while they're eating their food, they're talking about just small town life, village life, of the village of St. Mary Mead, and Miss Marple commented on the general distrust of the new organist, related the recent scandal about the chemist's wife, and touched on the hostility between the schoolmistress and the village institute. And as someone that comes from a very small town, I find small town mannerisms like this hilarious. But then they do talk about what Mrs. Gilcuddy saw, and Miss Marple says, okay, I'll take you to our local constable guy. We're friendly because I'm constantly solving murders everywhere I go. That's pretty much what she says. And the thing is, they're waiting for a body to turn up, like the newspapers to say something. There is no body. Even they get in touch with this constable, they talk to him. He goes and like does some digging at hospitals and other places, and like no body has turned up. And now Mrs. Gilcuddy is on to going to see someone else, and Miss Marple's just like, okay, now I gotta figure this out myself. And so she has some people she's going to be in contact with. She has some kind of idea of something that happened. I'm too old for any more adventures, said Miss Marple to herself, watching absently out the window the curving line of an embankment. A curve. Very faintly something stirred in her mind, just after the ticket collector had clipped their tickets. It suggested an idea, only an idea, an entirely different idea. So I don't know what that idea is, but that's where we're at right now. I think this is going to be a really fun ride. Okay, this book really does have like the most fascinating setup, I think. So, Miss Marple, she kind of figured out where she thinks the body must have kind of like been pushed out of the train, and it's pretty much like private property. This old man slash family has this big estate, and it's on their land. So what she does is she gets this person that she kind of knows to get hired by this family as domestic help, and then in this lady's free time she's supposed to be looking for evidence that a body was pushed off the train, landed somewhere on this property, and then go from there. So because they're not just gonna like leave the body, someone has premeditated that they're going to be killing someone on the train, pushing them out, and then going back when it's dark and moving the body. So her name is Lucy, this lady who does like domestic help kind of thing. She goes and gets hired, and she is golfing so she can have golf balls to look for and reason to search around the property. And she does find evidence that there was a body somewhere, and then she's looking for it, and eventually she finds it in a sarcophagus in an old barn. This guy has a bunch of like random things from all over the place, and the body's been there for like 3 or 4 weeks at this point. So we finally have a body, and now I'm on chapter 7, page 71 here, and they're going to be doing an inquest. And the family whose estate this is currently is just the old man and one of his daughters that lives there, and then like very skim bones, bare bones help, because the old man is very thrifty. I think he has lots of money, but he doesn't like to spend it. But the whole family is coming for an inquest the next day or something. And this family has a number of sons that I'm kind of thinking are going to be the suspects. So I know we have at least a Mr. Edmund, Mr. Cedric, Mr. Harold, Mr. Alfred, Mr. Brian, and then there is a younger boy named Alexander, and he is actually there right now. So I'm assuming they're going to be our cast as suspects. I have tabbed a few instances where they've kind of been mentioned, but I'm waiting to like see them in person in the book before putting them on my board, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be my suspect list here. But interesting setup, very different, to only come across a body like 70 pages in when the murder happened right at the beginning, and having pretty much zero suspects or zero information on our suspects at this point. So interesting setup. I'm gonna keep reading, and then I think it will be time to start writing things down right away. So I have more to write about our cast of characters yet. I was tabbing certain sections that talked about them. A variety of different people have mentioned them, but I want to give a quick overview of who they are, and then I'll continue filling this in. So everyone is from the Krakenthorpe family. So we have old Mr. Krakenthorpe. He is 72. He lives in the house, and he is constantly complaining about his ailments. And according to the doctor, he's fine. He's just kind of like old. Like, he doesn't have anything out of the ordinary, but he likes the attention. He likes to say that he's like old and all this stuff. So he lives in the house. He's the one that collected things from around the world that were in this barn / museum, and that's where the body was found. Emma is one of the daughters. She lives with him, kind of dotes on him hand and foot. Edmund is dead. He was the oldest. He was killed in war, but I wanted to put him on here because, I don't know, maybe that will have something to do with something. But obviously, I'm not suspecting a ghost. Cedric, he is the next oldest. He lives in Spain, I think. They're talking about abroad, and I'm pretty sure it's Spain. Then we've got Harold. He lives in London. He's married. And we've got Alfred, who's been in trouble once or twice before. We've got Brian Eastley. He is the brother-in-law, so he married Edith, who was their sister, but Edith died 5 years ago. And then Alexander is Brian's son. Honestly, the least suspicious person, the nicest person so far, is Brian, and as a result, I am instantly suspicious of him. Everyone else is a little bit shady or doing a few things that, well, I mean, maybe not the son so much yet, but like the rest of the siblings, so shady in different areas, and he's not. So that's that like psychology messing with my brain. But I'm going to continue filling in some more things about each of these people. So I have everyone written down. One thing that I wanted to, a quote that I wanted to read here, because this is kind of how it is at this point in the book. This is the inspector talking. At a certain stage, one is inclined to think everyone knows a little more than they are willing to tell you. Everyone's kind of been interviewed. Pretty much everyone, no one knows anything, but really they're all kind of like holding back something. And that is definitely how it is. So we've got our cast of characters. We've got our father and his kids and his son-in-law and his grandson. I don't know who it is. Okay, we are now at the part of the mystery where it's kind of information overload. And it's hard to sift to know what are red herrings and what's real. So we still don't officially know who the dead woman is. There is a possibility that it is Edmund's. So when he was in war, he potentially married someone a few days before he died and potentially had a son with her. But we're not 100% sure about that. There was a letter received from this lady apparently, but we don't know if it's actually from her or if it's from this lady from that was part of a ballet touring thing, or it could have been either one of those ladies or something, or it's very confusing. Don't really know who it is. And then we're getting kind of into alibis now. They're kind of going and asking people about alibis, and you know, everyone's kind of like got a little bit of wiggle room so far where it could have been any of them. I currently don't really have any suspicions. So I have lots of things marked down, lots of like, oh, maybe this will turn into something, and I should probably write that stuff down here. But I just kind of don't know who to suspect. We haven't talked to Brian or his son recently. We've talked to the other three here a little bit more. There's also like Mr. Krakenthorpe. I mean, we're like led to believe that he's this old man, but he's constantly saying like he's not as old as he seems. But then also there was potentially someone tried to kill him at Christmas. He didn't feel well, and so some of the kids are just like, you overate. But the doctor seems to think that maybe there was more to it. So maybe someone tried to kill him, because if he dies, then they all finally get their money, because all the money is tied up with him. But if Edmund had a wife slash a son, then that will affect how much money everyone else gets. Okay, I feel like things are happening and maybe I need to start locking some stuff in. But first I need to talk some things out. So I have been tabbing this thing up like crazy, and the blue ones that I've been doing recently are what felt like foreshadowing of another murder. And based off of this, I was feeling like maybe Alexander or his friend that is visiting were going to be murdered, but I just read about someone that was murdered, so it wasn't them. But first I want to talk about a few other things, and then I'll explain what's happening. And now I feel like I kind of need to lock my answer in. So I've updated some things. There's a word here that Agatha Christie mentioned, not Agatha Christie, Miss Marple said. It's Tontine. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I looked it up, and I don't remember the exact wording of the definition now, but it is to the effect of when, how do I word this? When there's a pool of people that are going to be getting like life insurance here when someone dies, or getting the inheritance, the more people you pick off, the bigger your pot is going to be. So it makes sense for one of these people to kill off their siblings to have more money for themselves. Turns out Harold isn't as rich as he made us believe. His stuff is all very rocky. So there was a incident that happened just recently where pretty much everybody got arsenic poisoning. And everybody but Lucy, who is the help that Miss Marple hired. So she's not on my suspect list because she was hired for this. And obviously if you're going to poison everyone, you're going to fake the fact that you are also poisoned, right? And Alfred has been killed. He died. So he's a goner. So he's off in his own world now. He's not here. The motive is money, probably. But why was this lady killed? She was Edmund's wife. She was killed by a man. So I feel like Emma is in the clear. I just had a thought. There's also this doctor guy that I haven't thought of as a suspect until right now. I don't remember what he looks like, because the old lady that witnessed the murder, McGillicuddy, she just saw him from the back, so she knows it's a tall, dark guy. And I don't remember the color of hair of this Dr. Quimper. Yeah, I'm kind of suspicious of him. I'm going to add him to my list. I'm kind of guessing it's not him because he's the one that thought it was arsenic poisoning, not just an upset stomach. So it's probably not him. But he seems to be in love with Emma. And I don't think Emma did it because she's not a female. But then I was thinking maybe if she got him to do the dirty work, that might work. So we got one guy out. So I feel like because people are dying, I need to say who I think it is. And I was suspicious of Brian, but he's not here, so I don't think that's possible. So it has to be Harold or Cedric or Emma or Mr. Krakenthorpe, that's a terrible last name. I don't know why he would do it. He doesn't get any money. He has like an allowance he gets. He's 72. He's in good health, but I don't think he would be doing it. I don't quite see the reasoning for that. So I feel like it's kind of either between these two. But then it also makes me suspicious of Emma because she's obviously not really a suspect, but she's there. But she isn't a man. Couldn't have strangled this girl. So I mean, like, if I had to guess, I would say Harold, because he has this rich appearance that he's putting out there. But he isn't as rich as he appears, but maybe he wants to keep this up. But I'm not really sure. So I have, I think, 60 pages left. 60, yeah. So I'm gonna say I think Harold, because he wants the money. But if it ends up being anyone else, I'm not really going to be surprised unless it's someone that's not on my list. I really don't think it's the doctor. I think him and Emma are going to get married at the end of this. Miss Marple seems to be doing a little bit of matchmaking. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's either one of them. But I'm just going to go with Harold because he seems like the more upstanding guy. And then Cedric seems a little bit more fishy, which doesn't make any sense in real life. You want the people that seem a little fishy to be the actual fishy ones. But often there's something to trying to keep up appearances. So I'm gonna go with Harold. I'm gonna read more and check in, I guess. I'm not sure if I'll do that tonight or tomorrow, but once again, I don't feel confident. I wouldn't be surprised if more people die because of this word that Miss Marple was talking about. Like, we don't have Edmund, we don't have his wife, we don't have Alfred. More people will probably end up dead. And I'm surprised it wasn't Alex before he left. Now he has moved on to his friend's house for a few days, so we'll see if more people die. So Harold is my like locked in guy. So I'm gonna read some more and we'll see where this goes, because I don't know, I feel like I'm missing something. I think somebody's going to poison Harold here. He got a box in the mail, a parcel, and it's got 2 tablets to be taken nightly, sent by request of Dr. Quimper, is written on it. Yeah, he was thinking about not taking them because he thought something was suspicious, but he ends up taking them. So, is he going to die? I'm gonna guess yes. Yep, Harold's dead. Well, there goes my suspect. Although I really feel like it could be anyone. I'll keep reading. I have like 25 pages left, 20 pages left. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I think this is gonna have to probably go on my favorites list, but I mean, I still have 7 pages left in the book. So first we'll figure out who did it. Miss Marple is with Mrs. Gilcuddy, just came back, and they're at the house. And for some reason, Miss Marple wanted Mrs. Gilcuddy to go upstairs. I don't know if like is this implying she's going to the washroom or something? Like she's supposed to go ask to go upstairs for some reason, but she wouldn't tell Mrs. Gilcuddy what the reason was, and I don't know what the reason is. I'm so confused. Okay, so it isn't Dr. Quimper. So last minute addition. I don't know why, but I did suspect that. I do feel like it was set up in a way though that he wasn't really a suspect. Okay. So, because the problem is here, like, who is this woman? And why, Dr. Quimper says, why should I want to murder a perfectly strange woman? She wasn't a strange woman, said Inspector Craddock. She was your wife. These are hints I didn't pick up on. So many men seem to murder their wives. Miss Marple quote. He was married to this lady previously, but they separated. This woman didn't want to divorce him though. But he, Dr. Quimper, wanted to marry Emma because she was going to be rich. Okay, so this is interesting because he was one of my suspects, but I figured it was because Emma wanted him to do it. I wasn't thinking, I was still thinking in the family. Okay, that is the end of that. So it was Dr. Quimper. I'm glad I added him to the board like last minute. I didn't feel confident in any of these. I don't feel like there was really much of an indication that he had a wife, or I didn't feel like there was really any hints as for that. The only reason I suspected him was because I thought he was working with Emma. I'm going to kind of like stop this video here, but for my patrons, I'm going to do a bit of a longer thing, discuss a little bit more of my thoughts afterwards, and I'm going to grab my Agatha Christie Secret Notebooks book and read what some of her original notes were on the topic. So those of you on YouTube watching this, thanks for being here. Let me know if you actually solved this mystery. Did you even suspect him? I'm curious to know your thoughts. And pay attention for my TBR for next month when I put it out, because I'll be announcing whichever Agatha Christie I'm going to be trying to solve for next month.